Now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
Everybody, it's Eric from Raw Minds. Just want to apologize first. Last week, actually, our program Riverside was down, so I never got to post out an episode that week. Which was really sad because one of my guests, he was on his way to Egypt, so he'll be back. We're gonna reschedule, and we'll make that happen. Like I said, this is Raw Minds. This is all about real life. The pain, the fight, and the comeback that we talk about. What happens in life, the knocks downs, and how you build yourself back up. And today we have a special guest, John Kane. I'm like I said, I'm really sick right now. I'm trying to get over this cold, so I might have a little brain fart. So please just bear with me. But you know, this is some of the best stuff. You see it raw right here. Anyways, about John, our guest. He's Olympic silver medalist, Emmy Award winner, and a guy who studies how to slow down time. And yes, you heard me right, slow down time. And John calls himself the time master because he teaches people how to make life feel longer, deeper, and more meaningful. He's been through big wins and hard losses, and he's here today to share a story of how he turned pain into purpose. We're going to talk about ego change purpose and how to rebuild your story when everything falls apart. So before we jump in, please hit that share, comment, and follow and like. It helps us reach more people who need to hear this. So I just want to say thank you, John, for coming in, and thank you for putting up with my sick boy thing going on today. So yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, Eric. And it's Raw Minds, so we're going to get the rawest of minds today, right?
You name it, you got it, man. You know it. I like to just ask all our guests right off the bat if they can plug all their plug your website, whatever you want people, however you want people to, check you out and get a hold of you.
Yeah, sure. It's just johnkcoyle.com, Coyle. Everything's there. The blog, link to my YouTube, which is John K. Coyle 1 at the YouTube. And yeah, a book and podcast blog, a YouTube channel. And here I am on the guest of Raw Minds.
Hell yeah. And you can find that all in the description, so you can check that out. If you didn't catch that, just scroll down and it'll be all in there. So can you tell everybody who you are, who is John, and what you are, like what you do and how you got into this, like just to kind of a nutshell of who you are so that people know.
Yeah, so I'll just start with now. I'm fortunate right now to be an author, speaker, and professor. So I primarily, the breadwinning income is from speaking. Books don't pay much anymore, but I do teach a couple of courses, and I'm fortunate to travel the world and share some stories and insights about some of the lessons I've learned or research that I've uncovered about the nature of time perception and how the brain constructs time, about resiliency, which I think we'll end up talking a good bit about, and about, how do we find and design for our strengths as individuals and organizations and teams.
And you just do that out of like, Zoom or whatever, or in person and stuff like that too? Is that how?
It's almost entirely in person, except for the year. So I've spoken in now 19 countries, and
oh wow,
it's fun, sort of like getting paid to go to parties. You show up, you speak an hour, and then go to a little reception, and then you head home.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. Okay, so where did your journey begin? Like, how did it all begin? Like, how did this whole the time thing come together? Like, what sparked in you to be like, hey, like this is a thing?
Well, I would say the origin story that sort of leads to all roads eventually come from there is I had some really great parents who supported me with whatever I wanted to do. And I fell in love with bicycling and competed at the nationals and went on to go to the world championships in that sport. I simultaneously moved into the sport of speed skating, and that took a little longer to reach its fruition. I was actually competing during college in California with almost no ice, very little training. But I managed to still get 12th place in the world my senior year in college in California.
That's amazing.
So I thought, okay, I got 2 more years, full-time training as support of the Olympic team. I'm going to go 12th to 6th to 1st. So this would be my first turning point. That did not happen. I joined the Olympic team. They put me in a program of fixing my weaknesses, which turns out are many and varied. And I went from 12th to 34th to not even making the U.S. team 2 years later, finishing 30th in the U.S. trials I'd won 2 years prior. And I was all ready to quit. I mean, I was dismal, miserable, had no hope for the future. But I kept anchoring back to, something I'd actually learned from a professor in college, which is if you're working really hard to solve a problem and you're not seeing success, you probably are solving the wrong. And so I was like, wait a minute, why am I fixing my weaknesses 24/7? What if I just decide to do what I used to do and just design my training and everything for my strengths? And so I quit the team, not the sport, and went back on my own. I showed up to a year later after getting my ass kicked at the US trials, at the Olympic trials. A year later, same meet, same people, same structure, same everything. It's just world championships, not Olympics, but everything's the same. And in a sport where hundreds of seconds determine first from second, my first race back, I broke the US record by 5 seconds, broke the world record by a second, set every single US record back to back, won every race, and went on to the world championships, where I set the fastest time in the world that year in the 500 meters at the worlds as well. And then went on to win the silver medal after that. So that would be my first turning point, raw moment. And then, I never expected it to work that well, but I've seen again and again, when people find what they truly are designed for, they don't see small increments of improvement. They see, a major turning point for them.
Well, it's your passion too, right? So, like anything, your passion, anything you love, like Raw Minds, I love doing this, it's my passion. I don't get paid for this. I just do it because I love doing it, meeting great people, at the end of the day, it would be nice, everybody would be nice to get paid for what you want to do, right? You know what I mean? But it's the passion, and I've put in my work with this, and it grows and grows and grows, and what you put in is what you're gonna get, and like how you're saying it, kind of like work on your weaknesses. But if you're working on your weaknesses, then isn't your strengths just sitting there? Is that like I'm just trying to understand that,
Here's my perspective, and it's a great question, is I actually think when you work on true weaknesses, we're not talking a skill gap, not a new iPhone or a new operating system, like true weaknesses, the stuff that you'll probably never be good at and just trying to fix them. What usually happens is you destroy the corresponding strength.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are direct and honest and blunt and rude, and you try to fix being blunt and rude, you're probably no longer direct and honest, which is a superpower that I love. I love direct, honest people. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
They always tell you the truth,
Yeah.
And they can be rough around the edges, but who cares? Like, get over it. If you're creative, you're probably disorganized. And if you try to be organized, you're probably not going to be creative anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a big patterns thinking, strategic thinker, you're probably terrible with details. Try to fix being good at detail, you're never going to get there. Detail oriented are usually perfectionists. And I could go on and on, right? You're calm, you're unemotional. Like, again and again, the cost of entry for a strength is its corresponding weakness. And what you just really need is an environment where your strength is celebrated and your weakness doesn't matter. When you find that, then everybody loves you for who you are. Like, they don't care that you're the other thing, right? They hired you, or you're in this environment because this is you. And pretending to not be you just doesn't tend to lead anywhere good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm thinking now, my house is a little messy. I'm looking in the other room there, and so okay, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah,
I'm gonna guess you're a creative archetype. You probably wouldn't be leading the podcast if you weren't.
Definitely, man. I got music that I've made like through AI, because I can't sing worth shit. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be like, who's killing the cat if I was singing? You know what I mean? So I make my music through AI, and I'm very creative, and I do other things like that. So yeah, definitely. Why is that though? Do you know? Like, do you have an idea of why is that? Is just because I don't know. Like, it's true though. It's what you said is 100%
well,
true.
So creative people are lateral thinkers. So they go from A to K to J to Z, back to B, down to A. Like, they don't think linearly. That's how creativity works. It is taking two disparate things and putting them together, which necessarily means they're probably not so good at A to leading to B, leading to C, leading to D.
Yeah.
That's what other people are for.
Yeah.
And you just, you can hire people for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pay people to do that stuff.
Plenty of people that are really good at A to B to C to D. They're the ones that should be producing your show. You should just show up, talk pretty, and off you go. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you are, but eventually you will be. Yeah. And that's the other thing. One other thing, that's sports is such great metaphors for real life because it's just simpler. But sports is just really simple, right? Go fast, turn left, you win or you don't. Like, work. Real life
all
is
in net, game over kind of thing.
Real life is much more complicated. But one thing that people forget, both in sports, because nobody taught me this, I learned it later, and in real life, is improvement doesn't look like this. It's not a straight line or even a curve. It actually looks like this. There's long plateaus where the business isn't growing, where your muscles are not growing, or at least they don't seem to be getting any stronger. You're not getting any faster. And so you go through these long plateaus, and then the improvement comes in a jump, and it tends to happen overnight. And it's super frustrating because you would just much rather have gradual improvement, but what's going to happen one day in Raw Minds is you're going to be like, oh my God, we just literally passed X thousand people and now people want to sponsor it. And you're going to go from no money to money probably in literally one day. And then you're gonna be like, I guess I should have seen this coming.
Yeah. It's so true you say that though, because like I've had like actually the month that when like you contacted me, that was probably one of the biggest months I've had of people contacting me. Like I booked me up for like 4 months straight with people just alone, and just in that 1 month, and it's like it spurts, so it goes boom, and then it just dies, and it's like, what happened here? And then all of a sudden out of the blue, boom, it goes like that. And it's so true. And I'm not just saying with people, but I'm saying with different things come my way, right? In that but you have to keep on still going straight. That's the problem with this. I've noticed if you stop doing what you're doing, everything's just going to stop. Like the world keeps on going. You got to move with it, because if you don't move with it, you're not going to go anywhere, right? You're going to be stuck behind.
Yeah, sadly, consistent effort is required to overcome the plateau. And when you start to lose faith and you stop putting the effort, then the next step might not ever come.
Yeah. So I've noticed that, because I've had my days, and we all have our days, like, and I know we're talking about me right now, but this is my show, so who cares?
Of course.
No, but I mean, like, I had my days, and like I'd be like, oh, I really don't want to show up today, and I feel really down, but then I show up, and then these things happen, man, and they blow up, man, and it makes you feel good, and it drives you again. But then I have my days where it's like, oh man, like I don't know if I can keep this up. And it's true, I do have them, because I'm a one-man show, man. I'm a single dad, you know what I mean? Like, I got no help trying to do this, it's me, just me doing all this. The editing, the videos, the booking guests, the interviews, the everything, man, so it's hard, but you know what? I show up, man. At the end of the day, you got to keep on showing up, right? So that's just anybody out there, man. Like, if you're struggling, and you don't think that things not going to come your way, just keep on trying. I mean, this is a 2-year journey that I've been in, and it's from where it started to where it is. It's a beautiful thing, right? So I just want to put that out to anybody that's listening, that don't give up. Have fun. At the end of the day, have fun with it too.
It's a stair step. You're just going to wait out that plateau to the next jump.
So I want to ask, how did you feel like when you're going to the Olympics? Like, how did that, like, I bet that was just wild for you.
I mean, unfortunately, the story isn't as fun as one might hope. You're getting this really, really competitive mindset when you're in that group, and they're your friends, but they're also your competitors. And so you're fighting every day, to try to climb the totem pole, get faster, better, get stronger. And that's all. I mean, that's all great lessons for life in terms of putting in the work and waiting for results that don't always come immediately. That's why athletes often do really well in business, because they're just willing to, like we talked about, stick it out, wait for that next jump. But, I went to the Olympics and I got second place, which, most people are like, that's so, that's great. But for me, I was a first loser. Like, that's the way I thought about it. I didn't win the gold. And so I was like, I'm going back. I'm going to spend 4 more years and put in the effort, and I'm going to win gold. And I was really flying at the time, but I overtrained. I did some things wrong. My last year, I actually joined the Olympic team again, which I had quit, and they put me in a path of fixing my weaknesses, which didn't work. And so I ended up not making the team. So I not only didn't win a gold medal, I didn't make the team, which made me then a one-timer first loser. For a decade, I was in my head a one-timer first loser. And I did a hard divorce. Like, I got up the ice after the Olympic trials after the second attempt, and I walked across the concrete, destroying my skates, knowing I would never skate again. I got in the car. I drove 45 hours after taking off my skates in the car, bawling my eyes out the whole way. I drove 45 hours to Phoenix, Arizona from Lake Placid, New York, and I started a whole new life. I started working a real job, started consulting, got married, did all the normal stuff that people do with real life. But the whole time, I'm still a one-timer first loser. There is a silver lining here, and this is kind of the way life works, right? Sometimes your greatest failure becomes somehow the turning point that leads to the greatest things. I speak for a living, and I close most of my talks with the following story that brings me back again and again to 19 countries around the world. So I'm going to tell you the story that turned that silver medal and, one-timer first loser into something meaningful. So I didn't talk to anybody for 8 years after failing to make the second team. And then I was invited to go to the Olympics in a different capacity as the analyst. And so I was like, I couldn't say no to that. So there I am working for NBC and covering the sport. And my job is to interview the parents, coaches, and skaters and get the backstories. Still, I'm a one-timer first loser, but at least everybody knew who it was, and I knew what all they were, and I was warmly welcomed back. But on the 16th of 17 days of the Winter Olympics, I was sitting at dinner the night before the gold medal round for my sport, which is always the last night. And a parent sitting across me says, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And he looked nervous. He was making me nervous. And I'm like, what did I do? Oh, shoot. Like what? So we walk away from the table. He's like, "I want you to hear this. We wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for you." Like, what do you mean? He said, "You won't remember probably, but 12 years ago, after you won your silver medal, you brought it to a little reception in Bay City, Michigan. I brought my son, Alex. He was 11. He'd never skated before. You signed an autograph. You put your medal around his neck. He was so inspired. He joined the Bay City Speed Skating Club the next day. And tomorrow he's skating in the gold medal."
I just got crazy goosebumps. That's amazing, man. I bet you, when you heard that, was just, I can't even describe. Like, I just got a crazy feeling all through my body, man.
Top of my head like popped off. I literally went in seconds from a one-timer first loser to it mattered. I matter. It was worth it. Even if it's just one kid, it doesn't
Yeah.
And it changed everything. I started coaching, started announcing. I've worked 5 Olympics now. We'll be working the 6th one this February.
Awesome.
And more importantly, I speak for a living, and I tell this story pretty much every time I stand on stage, and it's what gets me brought back. So the very thing that was the lowest point in my life is now the thing that gets me hired to
Gets you higher.
cruise around the world and talk to people.
Pain from pain to power, man. That's what it is right there. Yeah. And I find that, like, a lot of great success in this life comes from that. You know what I mean? Like, great, like, I mean, I say this all the time, but like Raw Minds was made because I lost my fiance.
Right.
And I didn't want other men to feel alone, and show that there's help out there, and people have stories, and there's different things that may be relevant to you, that's going to help you, through your journey. And this is like, I bring guests on and all this, and that's what it was. It was from pain to power. And I look at it like this: she had to die. It's really sad to say, but she had to die in order for these men that have reached out to me and sent me emails saying I changed their life. I've helped them just by listening to the podcast.
100%.
So I mean, that's how I look at it. She had to pass away, and it wasn't in vain. One person had to pass away so she could help many more.
Funny thing, you'll totally get a kick out of, Eric. I was talking with my girlfriend about this the other day. She's a big social media consumer, and she'll always read me stuff like, inspiring quotes from people that have, made a lot of a life after maybe starting from humble beginnings, whatever. And one day she's like, "You know what? I don't think I've ever read an inspiring quote from somebody who's like, I am who I am because my parents gave me everything, and we had all the resources and, access to the world." Like, nobody says that. Nobody's saying that.
No one. No.
And,
No, definitely not.
It's really wealthy individuals, and their kids more often than not are actually troubled because it's just been too easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I find that, like, people don't have grit, I guess you could say, nowadays, especially nowadays, and I've said this multiple other podcasts, but I was on a podcast, Men Thrive Daily. Steve, he's a great guy, and he's the one that brought this, is like, how do we teach grit? Like, how can you teach grit to these people? Because if people have grit, they're gonna have a lot, like, they can get through things, a lot easier. I'm not saying it's easier, but it's a lot easier than, like, even like suicide, man. You know what I mean? If people had a little bit of grit, depending on the situation, they might be able to just hold on a little bit longer for someone to reach out to help them, or reach out and help. You know what I mean?
Can we
And
talk
you
about that for a little bit?
Yeah, please.
I've been talking about resiliency and grit and, stress recovery for a long time. And I didn't honestly put together how what I was saying was different from all the other books. And I finally figured out a couple weeks ago, and I think that you'll appreciate this. Yes, you need self-talk. Yes, you probably need to learn to meditate. Yes, you need to, lean into the things you do best. Yes, you need to lean into your circle, like all the typical advice.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes down to sort of reevaluating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, if you're in overwhelm, you can't do any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the last thing you're going to do if you're in complete overwhelm, like when you lost your fiance, like, is going to be able to have a nice self-talk session followed by a 20-minute meditation, followed by, a sound bath. Like,
Fuck
you should
that,
not-
man.
you
No,
don't need that stuff.
I wanted to sleep, man. That's all I wanted to do is sleep and hopefully everything go away. You know what I mean? It won't, but that's what I was hoping.
So from neuroscience, we know that there's really three main ways to metabolize overwhelm. And the first is obvious, and we do it, but we sometimes forget, is just try to take some of the stressors out of your life. Quit some stuff. Hire somebody to mow the lawn next week.
Yeah.
Just shovel the driveway, take the kids to soccer, get, another parent to do it. Like, just get some of the stuff off your plate so you're not just running. And then, so that's, just reduce. That's obvious, and we do it all the time. The second one is the proper ways to physically recover from stress. This isn't mental recovery necessarily, but it can lead to the capacity to then soul search and do the stuff that most people talk about. So I'll play a guessing game with you. This is from a doctor still working on the book, I think, called Stress and Recovery. Top 3 ways that adult humans metabolize or process stress. Top 3 ways. Just guess anything.
How they process stress?
How they reduce stress, metabolize stress.
Reduce stress.
Mammals. I'm giving you a little.
I would say definitely sex is one.
Okay,
sex is a stress reliever. The gym.
Yep.
And I don't think this is a healthy way, but people stress eat. I don't think it's a healthy way, but.
So these are all not necessarily bad. They're just not in the top 3. And I guessed sleep, meditation, and red wine. And Dr. Ari is his name, Dr. Ari Levy. I said, no, wrong. Not say they're wrong, just not in the top 3. So in reverse order, and you'll find the first 2 probably pretty intuitive. The third one, maybe not. And you're close, actually. Actually, we're closer than almost anybody ever. Number 3 is just low-grade physical activity, just movement. We're wired to move. Mm-hmm. And most people are knowledge workers, so we sit here in front of this screen all day, and then we park close in so that we can get right to our desk. And no, park in the outlot, like get a walk in, get a bike ride, just nature walk, whatever, just move, gym, whatever. But, the mail workers, the postal workers, they got this covered, right? They're in and out, running around. They don't have to think about this. Check the box for them. For the rest of us, we got to move. Park in the outlot, just get some movement. Second one is social intimacy, just spending time with friends, preferably in person. FaceTime or phone calls is okay. It's better than nothing. But, text messages and
you don't have that. Yeah, you don't have that. Yeah, But
the third one, which nobody guesses, and you were pretty damn close, is physical touch of any sort.
Okay.
As mammals, we are wired for touch. Mm-hmm. From petting a puppy to being with your partner intimately, and everything in between. We are wired for touch. We are mammals, and it took me a while to get my arms wrapped around this. That this would be the number one way, but a couple studies you might be familiar with. I'm sure you're familiar with the first one. Russian orphans were adopted in the 1990s, all around the world, a lot of them in U.S. and Canada. The orphans at this time were kept separate, kept without touch from their caregiver. They didn't want them to bond with their nurse so that they could bond with their family.
Okay.
Dramatic mistake, as it turns out.
Very, very weird. I was going to say yeah.
So these kids then never socially bonded with another human after being born. And then they got to the States 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 months later, or Canada and around the world. And they never adapted, actually. They couldn't fully socialize properly. Had all kinds of major problems. Similar story, same period. They they put rhesus monkeys in a cage separate from their mother. They could see their mother. They couldn't touch their mother. You could communicate with them through chirps or whatever, but no touch. And those monkeys never socialize into their monkey habitat. Point being, we are wired for touch. And, the easiest example of this is, it's a sunny day in June and you're out walking in the park and you see somebody with a bunch of puppies and you go over and start playing with them. Mm-hmm. Can you be stressed in that moment? It's impossible.
No. Fuck no. And I've been there, man. You see all these puppies. You just feel amazing.
In your life. You can't be stressed for those, 5-10 minutes. This is why they bring petting dogs into crisis situations. Right? Okay, they bring in animals. Just this motion is vastly healing for us. So you nailed it, right? Like physical intimacy, number one. And then the last, which is relatively new neuroscience, but it's straight out of sports, is when you view the stresses in your life, and some of these you can't do this to, but most of them you can, as a threat, you're going to emit cortisol. So a friend says a snarky thing, a coworker does something bad, your boss pisses you off in a meeting, your toddler's having a conniption in the aisle, whatever. We're going to generally emit cortisol, which is actually the fight, flight, freeze response. It's not particularly useful. Mm-hmm. But if you can turn it into a game, okay, I got a 1 in 5 chance my toddler is going to lose it on this airplane. Well, if she doesn't or he doesn't, that's already you win in the game. Mm-hmm. Okay, and if they do, we're like, well, all right, this is a game. How do I play to win? Like, what are the what's the best way to play? And when you get into game mode, which athletes have been doing for millennia, you don't emit cortisol. You emit oxytocin and DHA, which causes you to broaden your perspective and look for help. Hey, lady, I'm so sorry my child's losing it. Do you have any ideas for me? Because I'm lost here. She was about to be pissed at you. And she's like, I used to just offer a piece of candy or look out the window or get a flashlight or, whatever. And so once you enlist people and you look for options, it's a vastly better response. That's gamifying stress. I did it with my daughter when she was a teenager. I'd be like, all right, I got a 1 in 5 chance she walks through that door and she's going to lose it because she's, 13-year-old girl. And when she didn't, it was already winning the game. And when she did, I was like, one of my best options here to win the game, let's say nothing and cook something good.
Yeah. I know, man. Mine's 11, man, and I'm a single father. I got her full time.
You got 2 more years. Ready.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like she's actually taking a nap. It feels like she's already like 30 years old already, man. Like she's way ahead of her time, to be honest with you. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I know I'm in for a challenge. It's already been a challenge, but you know what? I love it. And it's fun, at the same time.
And it should be fun, right?
Yeah, man.
Of course they're going to test you because that's their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I did it when I was a kid. Like I put my mom through hell. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I really put my mom through hell. I had people trying to kill me. I had this guy was a best friend of mine and he shot up my house because I was hanging out with the wrong people. She hopefully is not going to do that, and I will make sure so I don't have to deal with that. But I mean, like, I put my mom through hell, so like, I mean, this is what I deserve, I guess, in a sense. I don't know, but at the same time, I make a joke of it. And she's my best friend, she's my best friend, and she can take me, do whatever she wants at the end of the day. Hopefully she doesn't, but I'll still love her. It's not going to change. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's her job to test boundaries, and as long as you can hold some of them, she's going to turn out just fine.
Yeah. Hopefully. I'm just joking. No, she's going to be good. She's already a beautiful young woman. But yeah, so we were talking about the 3 things. So touch, that's funny because my new girl, I'm seeing a new girl now. She's my new girlfriend. And I mean, that's my favorite thing. It's like, we'll just be watching a movie, like watching TV, watching a movie. And all she does is like this thing at the head. And I'm game over, man. It's either I'm sleeping or I'm just in a trance. You know what I mean? It's the touch. It just brings me out of it, man. So definitely touch is like a huge thing. Well, for me anyways. And I'm not talking sexually. It's just,
no, of course not.
Yeah, just having, like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. You probably could explain it.
And there's no reason to explain it, but I will tell you this, and you probably experience this. And if you ever get single again, hopefully not. But the last time I was single, I was getting sort of better at, because of social media and dating apps and stuff like that, trying to ferret out whether this person was worth the time of a date. Because I had, not bad dates, but just you sat down and like, okay, 3 minutes later, I'm like, oh no, no. And the biggest red flag, and I think this would be the biggest red flag for anybody, either any gender, is the following statement, which I can't tell you, I heard it probably 20% of the time. And it came out somewhere in the conversation of, I'm not really like a touch person. And then I'm like, then you're not a human. Actually, even a mammal. You're a reptile.
Yeah, cold-blooded reptile.
You are so far behind in the evolutionary curve that you haven't even, developed the ability to generate heat in your own body. Like, no, that's an instant red flag. That's a no. That's a negative. Never. Like, we are wired for this. So one of the biggest reasons we should hang with other people like that is we can fulfill our needs for touch anytime we want. And that's, that's a beautiful thing. And
even like with your buddies, it's like a hug, a handshake, or whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to.
High five, all that stuff is important. Actually.
Yeah, man. Yeah, especially as a man in a group, and like women too. But I mean, because this is a man's show, like men in a group, and like we feed off of each other too, like especially when you got a good group and everybody just brings each other up, man. It's just a great thing being around your friends and just having a good morale, which is huge for me because me personally, I'm changing all that. So I've changed my friends group. I'm trying to reinvent myself because I don't, not that I don't want to be who I was, but I've outgrown that person. I've been in construction for 18 years. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm on actually the path of life coaching when I'm working on that with grief because I know grief really well, right? So why the hell not, right? To help other people, right? I'm already doing it like through emails and friends and other people just talk to me. So why not make a career out of it, right? So
Absolutely no reason. Yep. You're perfectly suited to do it because people who haven't been through major grief can't possibly
Yeah.
fathom
yeah,
like.
Yeah.
And I had never experienced it until very recent in my life. And I would have been a terrible coach until losing my father and best friend in fairly short order. I had no experience with major grief until then.
yeah. It's like I said, you got to go through it. You got a lot of these times. You got to go through it. You got to feel it. You got to learn it. You gotta be it, I guess you could say, really. You know what I mean? I mean, I've had so much grief in my life, it's crazy. I've watched every single one of my family members pass away in my mom's house because my mom was a nurse and they didn't want to die in the hospital. So I watched them all take their last breath. So I mean, I'm like, this would be the perfect fit for me, really. Like, I know so much the stages of grief and all that. So I think it's a new era, a new thing, right? So it's like getting rid of the old and upgrading to, it's like upgrading my car, I guess you could say. But I wish I could upgrade my car. I'm tired. I got a X5 4.8, man. I pass everything but the gas station. You know what I mean? So I had a Nissan Micra. Okay, it's the best fucking car I've ever had, man. A Nissan Micra. It cost me $40 to fill the tank, and it lasted a week. Now this thing cost me like 160 to fill the tank, and it lasts me a day. You know what I mean? It's like opposite, man. But yeah, I wanna get into a little bit more stuff about like mental health and ego and identity and stuff like that. If you could answer this, how did ego show up in your story, and what did you do to cost it? And what did it cost you? Sorry.
Yeah, I think the 8 to 10 year period of mourning my sports identity, and it's identity, right? Like
Yeah.
you become that person. And maybe, a lot of people have gone through this where you work so hard at something. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a sport, maybe it's music, or, a career path. And then there's a sudden, or not so sudden, but often a relatively sudden end to it. And then you're sort of windmilling on this little precipice going, wait, who am I? Like, I thought I was that.
Mhm.
And now I'm not that, which means, and this, comes unbidden, but I think many of us have felt this. I'm a loser.
Well, I was just gonna ask you actually a follow-up question, kind of what this is like. What was it like? Did you even know yourself anymore? Like, did you even really, like, you know what I mean? When you go through something like that, like you almost lose yourself, right? Your identity, because you
100%.
think you're one person. How did you like fight through that? Was it just training and mental? Like, how for you? How did
I mean, I think I did what most of us do, which is I wallowed in despair for a while, named myself a bunch of negative things,
and
and
then found that to kick you in the ass to get back up there, whatever it was? Yeah.
slowly clawed my way out of my own self-inspired, mourning, and recognized. And this is, as a speed skater named Apollo Ono is quite famous in the US because he won 9 medals. But he asked me, because he's like, relative to most athletes, you kind of didn't have as long of a period of quiet after your Olympic career. Like most high elite athletes have about a 10-year period of depression.
Oh,
where they're
really?
productive. They struggle with their relationships. They struggle with getting a next life, like, because they were that and now they're not, and now they don't know what to do.
Yeah, because you're in that circle and everybody's looking at you, but then outside of that, you're just Frank or
Regular
whatever,
person.
right? Yeah.
The average NFL player makes, I think, $800,000 a year. Their average tenure is only 3.5 years, but it's still almost $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
The average NFL football player in the U.S. Is bankrupt within 3 years of retiring.
Wow.
80% of them, because they don't. That's the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I got to spend like that. I got to show up with all of the appurtenances of wealth. I've got to have the big house and the fancy cars and all this. They just don't know how to do it. And my answer was, and I think this is right, and it goes back to rule number 2, is I asked a lot of people for help when I retired from sport. I didn't even know what kind of help I needed. I was just like, hey, I need a job. Hey, I don't know what I'm doing with myself.
Was that hard for you? Was it hard for you to ask for help? Me, I'll tell you honestly, I have a really hard time asking for help. And maybe it's because I would say I had really shitty relationships where people would hold things over my head. Like I had this one ex-girlfriend, and she would just hold it against me all the time. And it kind of really like, fuck this, I'm not going to ask for help anymore. And that kind of She's pulled me off. So I'll be honest with you, it's really hard. Even the girl now I have, she's like, oh, you got to help. I'm like, no, she's always pushing me, and I'm slowly getting there, because it's not her fault, but it's what I was conditioned in that relationship.
Eric, you help me figure something out. I think, and this could be just my experience, but I think there might be a there. The most helpful people, and maybe the ones I asked the most for help, were what I would call like second tier relationships. So not my parents' girlfriend, best friend. Yeah. It was people I met in college along the way, people I shared classes with, people I met on a train, boat, or plane, people I used to work with that were peers, smart, but not like in the jar with me. Like they're not emotionally attached to anything. And then, so they could be much more objective about, no, man, you're smart. No, you should be doing this. No, consulting's the way to go. Like, no, this is the right thing for you. Cause, and it's almost a little fun for them because they don't have to be right. And they don't have to be emotionally involved.
They're not invested. Like your friends are more invested. Yeah.
Right. They're not as invested, which also means they're that much more objective. And I had these guys, I just met in a couple classes in grad school that are like helping me. They were literally coaching me through resume building and interviewing. I had never interviewed. I didn't know how to do a resume. I didn't know any of that stuff. And they did this all in their own time. And, to this day, I'm so grateful. But I would say the second tier folks might be the way to go because they're a little bit outside your jar.
Mm-hmm.
Basically goes, you can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're not in there with you. So they can sort of see the lay of the land a little bit better.
And that makes sense. I'm not one of these people. I'll tell you how it is. If you're being an idiot, I'll tell you you're being an idiot. Right. But at the same time, I still love you. You know what I mean? At the same time, I still love you. But then you got the people, and I would say like a lot of your friends, and I'm not saying a lot of your, but I mean, most generally it's your friends that are saying, oh yeah, no, don't worry. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Right. You know what I mean? And they give you that fucking sugarcoating shit, Right. When people, because they're your friends, so they don't want to hurt your feelings. Right. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, but I hate to say it, if you're one of those people, you're not a real friend. A real friend will tell you, hey, you're being a fucking asshole. Stop that. But I still love you. That's a real friend. So if you're doing the other way, start doing it that way. Tell your friends that they're assholes.
Can I tell you a quick story about that?
Yeah, please, man. Please.
The other thing is your feelings aren't as hurt by second tier people, right? Because you're like, you don't really know me. But I remember I was during this phase, I finally got a resume together. Turns out it wasn't very good. And one of the friends that was starting to help me with it is like, I can get you in front of one of the world's biggest headhunters because he's a personal friend. He'll do it as a favor to me. So I sent him my resume and I get in the call and he's like, you ready? Sitting down? I'm like, yeah. He's like, your resume sucks. It's uninspired and it makes me want to throw it in the trash. I would never bring you in front of one of my clients. I'm like, okay, don't hold back. Tell me more.
Yeah. But hey, did that help you? It helped you.
So then he was like, listen, I can tell it's rough. It's not ready yet. But he's like, I know some things about you. You don't have anything about your sporting career in here. Why wouldn't you do that? Everybody wants to know about that. Second is you appear to be pretty creative. I don't see anything in here like that. You read like an average business school graduate that's blah, blah, boring. Give me something to bite on. Like make it interesting. Yeah. Write it interesting so somebody actually wants to read it. And that was such great feedback. I made a relatively entertaining resume after that. And, people are looking through 100 resumes. Like, something entertaining is gonna get you something.
Changed my fucking next time I do it, if I ever have to do a resume, I'm gonna make it funny and fun. Because everybody's just all stuck up, and it's the white collar, sit at the desk. No, it has to be proper. No, let's have some fun. The world needs to have some fun, right? It's so fucked up right now. I'm gonna, you know what? Thank you. You just gave me a cool idea. So I appreciate that.
People, check a couple boxes. I worked before. Yeah. I exist.
Yeah.
I'll show up. Okay. And what?
Yeah. I mean, have some fun because at the end of the day, you got to catch the person's eye. You know what I mean? And like you're saying, like if it's just the same shit, I have this much experience. I have this much experience. I have this much. Well, add something to that. Like make it fun, like you said, stand out, make the person because you want to be the person that they remember, not the person they forget that when they swipe that page.
One other thing that I do, and this works really well now that everything's AI, like people auto-generating stuff. Not that I couldn't actually use AI to generate this, but right here, I have a 1935 Remington Rand portable typewriter. So I type my thank you notes on paper and send them in the mail.
Wow.
And nobody gets paper mail typewritten notes anymore.
That's wild. Yeah. No, buddy, I used to have one of those like when I was a younger. Well, I didn't have it, but my parents did. And I remember in high school, the computers weren't like fully out yet, and we were using typewriters in some of our classes. Man, that's
Yeah.
crazy. And you go ching,
Yeah.
ding. You got to put the paper in correctly. If it's slanted, you got to do it all over again. You make one. You hit the wrong button, you got to do it all over
Type
again.
it over, or you have to start all over. Complete with mistakes and all of it,
Yeah, man. Love it. Love it. So can you give us a little bit of like what you speak on, like when you go to speak, and kind of, some tools that you can throw into to help?
So we talked about two of them, but we haven't talked about the third one yet. So we'll get there
Yes.
quick. The first one is the most common talk and is around how do I design my life, my career, my team for native strengths and design around weaknesses rather than fix them. A great quote that I can't attribute, so I'm going to own it and just put my name on it is what the world doesn't want from you is get slightly better at what you're mediocre at. What the world wants from you is get amazing at something you're already good at. Second one, talked a little bit was around resiliency and stress metabolism. How do I muscle through periods of overwhelm? Go for a walk, talk to a friend, and pet a puppy. Like, just get that done, and then treat your stressors when you can get into a place of some balance as games. Everything's a game. Gamify everything. Put some
Can I
stats.
add something to you?
Yeah,
To that?
please.
Like I wanna just because I want to ask, because
No, please.
I deal I'll be honest with you, my whole life is being fight or flight. Like it's my whole, just the trauma, everything. Even now I'm still trying to learn how to, you know, push that person aside and me take the wheels, because I've just been so used to have someone else driving my bus, like, in my head. You know what I mean, right? Like, yeah. So I've been learning, and I got a counselor, and I'm working with it. She's awesome. Jennifer, shout out to her. She's awesome, and she's been winding me down. But what could you say to someone that's like, like in that mode? For me, I find that making my bed is huge, huge, because I wake up and I already crushed a goal. I started my day off with a goal and I crushed it, and some days, like, I'll tell you, like, some days I'm so depressed, it's a challenge, man. It's a challenge for me to go have a shower. It really is. It's a challenge to go there. If I can get up and maybe just even brush my teeth that day, that's a goal. It's the little things. And this is what I tell people. It's like, it's, make these small goals, and it doesn't have to be amazing big goals where you have to do all this, even if it's just to get out of your bed and change the laundry, something small. Am I right on this, or am I wrong, or if you could, yeah.
100%. I mean, this is this is where I think the whole genre of stress and resiliency has missed it. They're already talking to people who are like, oh, I've gathered myself. I'm ready to like pour my heart out in a, 50-page note to
Memoir or
myself.
something. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the I can't get out of bed state is just, that's fundamentally different, right?
Yeah.
And so, little goals, baby steps, physical movement. Just talk to one friend today, put it off till 6 p.m., finally get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, get a pet, like just get it done.
Fuck, I got 3, man. I got
Yeah.
2 kittens and a puppy, man.
Yeah.
And a daughter. But yeah, so that's right though, right? Like, so what
because what it leads to, Eric, and this is the epiphany I had this like 2 weeks ago, is you can't have agency in overwhelm. So agency is the capacity to actually make meaningful change for the longer term. If you're in overwhelm, you're lucky you brush your teeth and get out of bed. Like that's, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to become a doctor or a lawyer, or I'm going to start a podcast. You're not going to do any of that stuff in that mode.
No.
And the biggest thing that I think people forget is that we all have agency. By virtue, if you're listening to, watching, or hearing this, that means you have a computer. That means you have the capacity. Like, you're not poor. You are not a woman with 5 kids living in Honduras with 2 jobs. Like, you're not. That's not you. So that means you do have agency. And most people pretend away their agency, their capacity to make change. I can't. And I'll leave you with something that
like excuses, almost, in a sense,
all the time.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I think I would distill probably everything I know, and maybe that you know, or at least that we know together, is when life seems like it's impossible, it just means there's only really hard choices left.
Yeah.
You're going to have to leave the job. You're going to have to leave the partner. You're going to have to shift your life. You're going to have to stop doing X. You're going to have to start doing Y, whatever those big things are. But if you're overwhelmed, you're going to do none of those things until you make your bed and brush your teeth and get out of bed and go for a walk and talk to a friend. Like, you have to do the baby steps first before you get to the plateau where you can finally make the bigger shifts. And that's what I think most people miss, is you got to do the baby stuff first.
Do you find, though, do you think that sometimes when, for instance, say like, these things have to get done, right? And I'm not saying, like, I'm talking big things. I'm not talking small things, but I'm saying big things. Maybe like you're in a relationship and, you're not happy, but you're just there because you're there,
Okay.
right? Or something like that, in the broad of that. Do you think that life puts you in situations to push you to get out of those situations? Do you believe that?
Well,
Or do you think you subconsciously put yourself in that position because you're so you know what I mean? Like, you're so, because the brain is strong, man. Like, look at, what is it? Jim Carrey put $1 million check on his fridge, and then you know what I mean? So the brain is strong, So I wonder if subconsciously you're doing that, or is it the universe? I just a question, and I just like,
I'll say I don't know, but I fully follow the question, because I will give you an example of exactly that. I was in a very, very, as it turns out, abusive relationships for more than 10 years marriage. I'm a man, so you can't be in an abusive relationship, except that, every day was a constant onslaught verbally.
Oh, I know, brother. I've been there. I know.
Or even, attempts at being physical, but I was much stronger. It wasn't her fault. She came by a mental illness running in her family. So it's not no finger pointing, but she was just completely unstable. And every day I didn't know what I was going to get. And every day I'm just trying to contain the situation for, a decade. And so, was it fate? Was it the universe? I don't know. But I was working the Olympics. This would be 10 years ago now. And for the first time, she didn't come, so I'm gone for 23 days. Because she was just too unstable to even travel. And she also didn't want to go to Russia, which is where I was. And I was explaining my situation to my best friend, who I hadn't seen in a while. He's Australian. And we're walking across right in front of the Olympic torch. And he stops and he turns to me. He's like, "You're telling me you're staying in this relationship for your daughter?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Pretty sure it sounds to me like you're teaching her it's okay to be in an abusive relationship." Boom! Like, my entire brain melted. I was just wired. You don't quit, right?
Yeah.
You don't never give up. You fight for it for the rest of your life. And I was like, wait a minute. He might be right. In fact, I think he's right. In fact, I'm sure he's right. 10 seconds later, I'm like, I'm moving out the day I got home. And I did. I moved out the day I got home. Crazy. And that was the day my life got a lot better. I also quit my job the next day, because I was like, all right, if I'm going to burn all bridges,
might as well just throw gasoline on everything.
And I started the speaking business at the same time, which is, become the greatest experience.
Amazing, man. Well, that inspires me. I mean, I did like I told you, I quit my job for 18 years. I was building bridges and construction and superintendent. And that's all I know. And I'm 41 now, so it's scary, but at the same time, it's fun, so I'm embracing it. We'll see.
I was 47, man. So I was 6 years later than you when I quit my job finally.
Yeah, man. Right. And it's never too, it's what I say, because I started waking up and I started hating my job, and just life in general, just hating life. And what I say is, if you're doing it, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
100%.
And that's really what it is. Like, I used to love waking up and going to work and building high rises, hanging like 860 feet off the air, like 12-foot cantilever, or small cars, building things. I love that stuff. I love the thrill. But now it's just like, I'm a father. I got my daughter. I can't be doing these hours. It's not with me, and I want to help people, and that's what fills my bucket, right? And now this is where I am, and you did that. You're helping people. Is what fills your bucket. It's amazing. So I'm inspired by you. So thank you for that.
Couch surf for 5 months. I mean, I literally lived in a friend of mine's house because I didn't have a home anymore, and it all worked out.
Yeah, just trust the process.
Doing what I love.
Yeah, trust the process. That's all about. And it all falls in play.
You got it.
When did you realize it was not okay to be okay? Like, when did you realize that, though? Like, in your life, and you said, fuck it, okay, this is what I'm giving in, and then you started, like, giving your all, because, like you said, the transitioning from was huge. So when was that point? Like, what was that like? Was it just, sorry, I'm going everywhere, but it's just, you're very inspired about this actually right now.
It's happened a couple of times, but for sure, when I was in Sochi at the Olympics, and I realized that I didn't have to do that anymore. And then I was sort of like, I had this really brief window, maybe you've experienced it, of I can do anything. I might do anything.
Oh
I
yeah,
might
I've had
go
that.
to Australia tomorrow. I might just get in a plane and go to Bora Bora. There's nothing I can't or might not do right now. Like there's nothing in this world holding me back. I have 100% full agency. Granted, I don't have a ton of money, but I got a little bit. And yeah, I might just do any of those things. And instead, I'm going to quit my job and sleep on a friend's couch. And, the thing happens, and it's a great quote from Goethe. It's a tribute to Goethe. But, when you finally make a decision, the universe will line up and help you. So I moved out on a Monday night. I got home Monday. I moved out that Monday night. I stayed in a Marriott that Monday night. Tuesday, I was like, it's going to get expensive real fast. And I got a call from my work. They're like, hey, so-and-so skipped out on this gig. Can you go to Iowa for the next week? I'm like, hotel, sweet. Okay, yeah. So I go work the gig for 4 days. I'm driving back on Friday. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going back to the Marriott. I got to start looking for an apartment. I don't really have money for a down payment and blah, blah, blah. My phone rings and it's one of my best friends who had been living in Central America for the last 8 months. And he's like, hey, I don't know if you can help, but we're kind of up against it. Our house sitter left today and we need somebody to look at the house for the next 5 months. It
Wow.
doesn't cost anything, but do you think, you know anybody? I'm like, dude, I'll be there tonight.
Yeah.
So I lived in their house, looked after it for free for the next 5 months. Everybody won. And by then I got my ducks in a row and had a little bit of money to go get an apartment and start
Nice, man.
for life. So when you make the moves, the universe lines up to support you because you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I find that, man. I feel that too. I mean, sometimes it's not in the way that you think it shows up, but
Right.
it shows up, man. You just
Gotta look for it.
You do. I did cut you off though. I wanted to know the last lesson there because the 3 lessons you were talking about. So
yeah.
the last one, yeah.
So the last one, first strength, second resiliency. The third of my favorite topic and is around the nature of how we experience time itself. And so, my next book is going to be about this, but the notion is that the way the brain constructs time is out of moments. So we live in moments, and moments are what determine our future trajectories, our future futures, because it might take weeks, months, or years leading up to some moment, but then you're going to make the decision in the moment. You got off the exit or you didn't. You started the podcast or you didn't. She said yes or she didn't, right? Like you took the job across town or you didn't. You quit or you didn't, right? I started the speaking business or I didn't. All those things happen in short intervals, and being aware that we have these trajectory changing moments on occasion makes you more aware of them. Let's pick up this call and let's couch surf in my friend's house for 5 months. And B, how do we design these kinds of moments? How do we create moments that feel like they're worth a month or a year in a moment for ourselves and for people around us? And so that's my latest line of research. And it's the talk I'm giving the most these days is around, time capital, I call it. How do you invest your time for the greatest returns?
Sorry, I'm getting a notification here on TikTok. It's like, are you still human? Yes, I'm still human. Yes, sorry. It makes all these weird noises. Are so you're right now actively working on a book to try to bring this out into the public right now and speaking on this as well?
Yes.
Well, when you do write that book, I'd love you to come back, man, and promote the shit out of it on Raw Minds and talk more. I really do wish. I mean, I know I got it for an hour, so I would love you to come back, man, and talk some more. Very interesting. Yeah, I do want to say though, like, so I said early, I got it written down here about the time. So how do you come up with that? Like
So it's a really easy sort of origin story, actually. In sports, in my sports in particular, speed skating, cycling, the margins of victory are tiny.
Okay.
It's gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal is like hundreds of seconds, right? And so gold, silver, or bronze changes the trajectory of your future in your sport and frankly in life. Fourth place gets you nothing.
Yeah.
What I realized a year or two after leaving sports and in the real world is, oh my goodness, it's the same in real life. Back to what we said, she said yes or she didn't. I asked her out or she didn't. I took the job or I didn't. I moved across town or I didn't. Like all these choices we're making that are future altering, we have to be super highly aware when they're coming and do our damnedest to put our best efforts forward for those things. You can plod through day after day after day and it won't matter until you see the girl and you know she's the one. Then you damn well better put your best foot forward in those moments and be prepared, right?
And is that where you say how that part you slow down time? Is that how you get to the slow down?
So what happens is when you are In highly charged, important moments, your frame rate, the way your brain processes time, accelerates. And so instead of writing a memory every 2 to 3 seconds, which is normal and what you and I are experiencing right now, if a burglar came through that door, or your fiance came through that door wearing a beautiful dress, or your girlfriend, our frame rate goes up by 50 to 60 times. So time seems to slow down in those moments because we're highly alert and aware. And you can't live like that all the time. You'd be run ragged.
Yeah.
But you have to be aware of these, what they call flow state moments, where your frame rate goes up. And they only happen, by the way, for 2 reasons, generally speaking. Never do that again, or always do that again.
Okay.
So don't die, right? Avoid the car crash, avoid embarrassing yourself in front of the most beautiful woman ever, and always do that again. Say, I love you back, ask the girl out and she says yes, take the job across town and get the promotion. Those are the always do that again things, and those will make time slow down. Sadly, never do that again things also work that way because your brain wants to keep you alive and procreating. That's how it works.
I had that. I was working in Alberta years back in -40. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Working in Alberta, -40. And I fell 10 feet, man. And I hit the ground and my elbow hit the ground and I broke my elbow. And I'm telling you, it was so slow.
Yep.
It was so slow. And it was so slow that I was processing everything around me that was happening. And
100%.
and I was putting up scaffolding, and I was 10 feet up in the eye, and there was these Illumas, right? 21-foot Illuma beams. And the company that, I'm not going to say any names, but the company I work for, they don't clip them in. They put wedges in the end, right? So those things can roll. Usually you clip them in so you can even climb up them. So I'm climbing up there like a hero I was in my early 20s, and I grab onto this 21-foot Illuma, and the thing starts rolling backwards. And I'm like, shit, this thing's going to land on me and it's going to fucking hurt. Like, this is what's going through my head. But this is seconds. Like, I climbed and then I was down. But like, everything was slow. I was like, okay, this thing's going to land on me. And if I shoot myself off, I can probably get as far as, like, this is what's going through. And because it's going to probably hit by my legs and break my legs if I don't fucking go. Right. And I shot off and I turtled in the air. I just went like this. And I first thing that hit the ground was my elbow, and I broke my elbow. And my boss actually, pardon me?
You took your elbow out, but you saved the rest of you. That was the wisest choice you could make in that circumstance.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, like, if no one's ever been through anything like that, like, time slowed down. Oh, yeah. And I had like a full-on conversation of like what I was going to do and what's going to happen here before I hit the ground. It was wild, man. So
that's exactly how the brain works. Are you familiar with, I might get his name wrong, but I think I have it right. He's a Canadian, but he's from Quebec. He was an MMA fighter named, I think it's Georges St. Pierre.
Yes, St. Pierre, yeah.
So I interviewed him, it was just a few weeks ago or a month ago, and I was asking about the exact same thing. And he had such the best story. I have to share it before we
please, man, please.
He's like, dude, I was, I won't do his accent, but he's got that thick.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was at the World Championships and I knew I was going to win. But I got to take the punches sometimes too. And he's like, my competitor, he wound up and I was like, oh, it's too late. I see it coming. It's going to be too late for me to dodge this one. I see it coming. I look in the audience and I catch eyes with Cindy Crawford and she winks at me. And then I take the punch.
Holy God.
And I stumble out of it and I eventually take him out and I win the fight, all during that 1 second, I was able to see him punching me and also catch Cindy Crawford winking at me, all in, period of like a second and a half.
What is she doing winking at him while he's getting punched in the face? So that's what I want to know. Like, you got this. That's awesome, man.
But yeah, that's awesome. The way time works in intense intervals. You slow it down, and you can slow it down for good things or bad things. More good things is better.
Yes, definitely. Well, brother, man, I just want to say thank you so much. I had a great time. And please, I would love for you to come back when you push out the book, and I would love to put it on my platform and throw it out there so everybody, and I'd love to take a look at it too.
Probably April-ish, I think.
Okay, around my birthday. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So can you plug one more time all your stuff just so everybody knows?
Yeah, so johnkcoyle.com is my website. It has the blog and everything else. My YouTube is John K. Coyle. It's been a little bit languishing lately, but I'm going to get back on it. And then, my first book is called Design for Strengths. That's on Amazon. It's also on the website. Mm-hmm. New book will be called Counterclockwise, How to Slow the Acceleration of Time.
That's a wicked name, man. I like that. And it'll all be down in the description below. Check it. and show some love. Please show him some love. And John, thank you, man. I had a great conversation with you, and
Man,
love
you're
for
awesome.
you to come back. You too. We'll stay. You're fucked now. You're part of the Raw Minds family. So
All right.
yes. Well, anyways, thank you everybody, and please bear with me. I'm trying to catch up on the last shorts or the last two shorts. I've been sick, and I should have said this too to everybody. Thank you for donating towards Stevie. Sadly, they did have to pull the plug on him because there was no more brain movement. So we are having a celebration of life for him tomorrow. And any of the money that was donated is going to go to his 6 kids, which is really sad. But so thank you, everybody. And I appreciate all that. So it's been a little rough these last couple of weeks, but please bear with me. Everything will pop back up again. It's just, life happens. Life happens and we all deal with it, right? So I'm just as normal as everybody else, probably a little bit more fucked up in some spots. So, but hey, I love it. I love coming on here and showing you how fucked up I am and being real, man. I'm just a normal person. You know what I mean? We're all fucked up. Anyways, that's my fucked up shit. And I'm going to say fucked up one more time. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching Raw Minds. Thank you, John, again for coming. I really appreciate you. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.